Dubai had seen celebrations, royal events, historic moments, but nothing prepared the city for the day. Sheikh Hamdan finally spoke her name. For years, the world wondered. For years, voices whispered. For years, there were rumors, speculations, stories written without truth. Because the truth lived only in his heart, protected, guarded, and silent. He never answered questions. He never reacted to gossip. He never confirmed anything. Until now, standing before cameras, lights, and a city that adored him, he did not speak with hesitation. He did not speak with doubt. He spoke with a certainty that shook the air. Her name, soft, unfamiliar, yet suddenly unforgettable, echoed across the room. And the world went still. Some gasped, some smiled, some couldn't believe it, because it wasn't the name people expected. Not a princess, not a celebrity, not someone chosen by tradition or pressure. She was chosen by his heart. Those closest to him saw something change, not his expression, but his soul. It was the look of a man who had finally returned to a place he left long ago. Peace. For years he was married to silence. For years he carried her memory like a prayer he wasn't ready to speak. For years he protected her not from the world but from timing. Now, timing had finally aligned with destiny. The reporters froze, waiting for more. But he said only one sentence, simple yet powerful enough to rewrite every rumor ever made. She is the one my heart waited for. No explanation, no apology, no justification. Because real love does not require permission, only truth. Dubai did not just witness a name, it witnessed a chapter opening, a story beginning, a love finally spoken aloud. And somewhere, maybe far, maybe near, a woman heard her name and cried the kind of tears. After that moment, after the room froze, and after Dubai took a silent breath, one question echoed louder than anything else. The world wanted answers. Some searched old photos, some scanned his past posts, some whispered theories as if they were facts. But nobody really knew. Not yet. Because while her name was finally spoken, her identity remained hidden, protected by the same silence that had once protected his heart. Days passed, and the world became obsessed. News headlines, social media storms, videos, voice notes, theories, everyone tried to connect the dots. Some said she was a childhood memory, some swore she was a secret soulmate, others believed she was someone he loved long before the world knew him. But the truth was far more poetic. She wasn't fame, she wasn't power, she wasn't royalty. She was simplicity, a soul that understood silence, a heart that recognized his long before the world crowned his name. She never chased the spotlight. She never used his name for attention or advantage. Instead, she prayed for him in private. She loved him in silence. She stayed where destiny asked her to, out of the noise, away from the rumors, waiting, not begging, believing, not doubting. And now, the world was about to meet her. The palace began preparations. Not extravagant, not overwhelming, but elegant, graceful, intimate. White roses, gentle lights, and verses of old Arabic poetry about loyalty, patience, and divine timing decorated the halls. Somewhere inside those walls, she stood before a mirror, not dressed like a queen, but glowing like one. A calm smile, a heart full of disbelief and gratitude, and eyes reflecting the same love he once expressed only in poetry. And when the doors finally opened, and she walked forward, Dubai did not just see a woman. It saw the reason Sheikh Hamdan waited, the reason he remained patient, the reason silence was worth keeping. Because some love stories are not meant to be rushed. They are written slowly, carefully, and perfectly. When she stepped forward, the world did not cheer. It paused. Not out of judgment, not out of shock, but because love like that demanded silence. For a moment, it felt as if even time forgot to move. Sheikh Hamdan's eyes found hers the way a traveler finds home. After years of wandering deserts, storms, and unanswered prayers, no words were spoken, they weren't needed. Some souls speak a language only the heart understands. People watched not because of who he was, but because of how he looked at her. Like she was not a choice, not a rumor, not a name, but a destiny. She stood there, not trembling, but humbled, aware this moment was bigger than a title, bigger than a crown, bigger than the endless gossip that once tried to define her. She was no longer the mystery woman the world chased. She was the answer to the poems he never explained. The silence between them held years of waiting, tears no one saw, promises whispered under breath, midnight prayers when sleep refused to come, and then, with a quiet smile that carried more emotion than any royal speech, he walked toward her. Every step felt like closure to heartbreak, to doubt, to all the times destiny said, "Not yet." When he finally stood before her, the palace lights softened, as if even they knew this wasn't just a moment. After the applause faded, after the shock became acceptance, after whispers softened into smiles, something beautiful happened. People finally saw her, not as a rumor, not as a headline, not as a mystery, but as the woman his heart chose. Sheikh Hamdan stood beside her, like a soldier beside a flag, not for display, but for loyalty. He looked at her the way a man looks when life has finally given him what he waited years for. No fear, no doubt, no hesitation, just truth. Those who once questioned her worth lowered their eyes, because his love had already answered every question they dared to ask. She was no longer the unknown. She was the silence in his poems, the face behind his heartbreak, the prayer hidden in every line he wrote for the world, but meant only for her. She did not walk like royalty. She walked like someone who survived storms and finally reached land. Calm, quiet, unapologetically real. And he looked at her with the kind of admiration that makes a king look more like a man and a man look more like a promise. Dubai didn't just witness a moment, it witnessed destiny unfold. A love whispered by fate, carried by time, and protected by patience. As they walked forward together, the world followed not with noise, but with respect. Because sometimes the greatest love stories do not begin with fireworks, they begin with a name spoken softly after years of silence. And a woman, finally, standing beside the man who never stopped waiting for her. The world did not understand him for years. They questioned his silence. They judged his distance. They created stories to fill the gaps where his truth never lived. But when he finally spoke her name, not loudly, not dramatically, but with the softness of a man who has carried love like a wound, everything changed. It wasn't just a name, it was history. It was heartbreak. It was years of patience, buried emotions, and unanswered prayers. People who once laughed fell quiet. People who once doubted looked again. People who once believed they knew him